So let's follow that trail to start the podcast.
Sir,
The trail that we blaze.
we blaze new trails, and our podcast immediately hits into a rock.
Just like this cold opening.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Living The DreamWorks, a podcast about every single DreamWorks animated feature film
Yes.
that went to theaters.
Yeah, that went to
Probably
theaters.
not going to touch that one.
King of Dreams one.
Yeah, we're not
touching
the-
Joseph Coat of Many Colors.
No, we're not touching Coat of Many Colors. But although the composer for that is one of the composers for Road to El Dorado.
Oh shit!
Yeah, Tim Rice.
Oh,
It all
no.
comes together.
It all comes together. So we are talking about the 2000 film The Road to El Dorado. First off, I'll say that I am the Wash.
And I am Random Bystander here.
And I am Claire.
And they call us the Wash Random Bystander here in Claire.
And we are gods. We are the God cast. After our Moses talk last week, we decided to pivot straight into discussing gods and religion.
Yes. We went from talking about gods to being gods. All we had to do was just drink seawater.
Listen, we weren't able to get the means of production into the hands of the workers, so we just went to religion instead.
Oh, God.
Right. So, we can probably start this off like we do with the Pixar, with our history. So
yes.
I think I'm gonna let Random go last.
Thank you.
Yeah,
not
no, that
just
sounds
That's just
good.
because of what I may or may not be doing while this podcast is going on today.
I think I said in the last episode that I might have seen this when once when I was very young. I don't think so. I was watching this and like nothing was familiar here. There wasn't a single like what was familiar here was like all the memes that people post. This is like memed on the level of Nature Pants, the SpongeBob episode, where there just seems to be like 20 memes based on like 5 seconds of an episode. It's kind of insane. So I went into this completely fresh. Aside from already knowing like what it basically is, but that's about it.
I've seen El Dorado a couple times, and by a couple I do mean literally a couple. And that's because when I watched it for the podcast, that was my second time seeing it. I had seen it one time before, and my impressions were, wow, these characters deserved a better story. And those were pretty much all I really remembered, aside from the memes, as Wash went into pretty good detail with. But I remembered, unlike Wash, I remembered a bit of what I had seen. The movie did manage to stick with me, which we'll talk about why that is. But for now, this is my second time seeing it, and Random has more to say than I do.
I certainly do. So I grew up with this film. This is one of the DreamWorks films I remember watching the most as a kid. I don't know what it was. Maybe my mom thought it was Disney and just decided to show it to me, or maybe it was.
I think it found it because it bombed.
Oh yeah,
It lost the money in
It did.
the box office. But I think it found a second life in both DVD and cable.
I would say even earlier with VHS because I had a VHS copy.
Oh yeah, and VHS, yes. But with home video, I'll say
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and honestly, I loved it as a kid. I thought the banter was funny. I thought El Dorado looked cool. Miguel and Julio were my first exposure to a bi couple. And it was just something about the adventure that I just thought was really fun. I also really liked the music a lot as a kid. And for a while, The Trail We Blaze was my hype song that just get me pumped up. I don't know why. It got me ready to go on an adventure. And I watched it a lot of times, like as a kid. Before my last time watching it before this podcast, I saw it on Cartoon Network of all places. It was just
Oh
on.
yeah, this is definitely one of those Cartoon Network shows like that, and like Hoodwinked. was
Yeah.
so
Oh,
hard.
Hoodwinked. Oh, yeah.
Oh god. But I was really fond of this film. I was kind of worried going into it though, because you know what I was also fond of when I was that age, or actually older, when I watched it on Cartoon Network. I was a fan of Harry Potter musical and sequel. So I was, and a lot of those Star Kid shows that I wind up not liking in the end, and even some Pixar movies I liked at that age that I didn't like back then. So I was like, is El Dorado as good as I remember? Let's find out.
Let's find out. I like it. So, who wants to do... Oh, man, it's like we're a serious podcast or something. The plot synopsis.
In the 1800, 1700? I forget what year.
It's like 1519.
1519 Spain. Miguel and Tulio, a very charismatic and comedic duo, are swindling some people with loaded dice, and they're able to get a map to El Dorado. They stow away on Cortez's ship, and are prisoners, but escape with a Disney horse, and they're able to eventually wind up shipwrecked on an island. Coincidentally, the island that leads to the road of El Dorado. They get there and they encounter the natives, and oh snap, the natives think they are gods, so they have to lie low and pretend to be gods and get gold and become richer than the kings of Spain, and they have to survive while conning the villagers. And hijinks and hilarity ensues. You also have an interesting voice cast here. I will say that.
We have Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh as the Miguel and Tulio, a Wild Wild West reunion. I can picture Jeffrey Katzenberg. He watched the movie Wild Wild West, and it's like, get me those two. Get me the 2 stars. So we can't get Will Smith. Get me the other 2 stars. And that's how we got these two, who are, I'll definitely say that as voice actors, they are very charismatic. They click very well. I had a hard time figuring out like who and if they're trying to do like a British accent. Because like Kenneth Branagh is like Irish, but like Kevin Kline is from like, I think like St. Louis or something. So I don't know what they were aiming for with that.
It wasn't a Spanish accent, that's for sure.
No, they weren't even trying.
Not even close.
No, not at all.
They're, like in terms of language, like they didn't even. You went to this isolated city state, El Dorado, and everybody can understand everyone.
Yeah, wow, weird.
Yeah,
It's their
wow, what a
godlike
coincidence. We
power.
all speak the same language.
It's their godlike power, of course.
Yeah, true. Very true.
The
what
Spanish dialect of English.
What I liked about the voice cast, this was something I recognized right. Well, okay, one of them I recognized right away. The other one was kind of funny. Immediately, Cortez I recognized as Jim Cummings.
Yes.
So,
yeah, I immediately recognized. I mean, Cortez doesn't have a lot to do in the movie, but like, I mean, you can give Jim Cummings to anybody, and you're gonna make a good performance out of it. So this is funny though. The horse. I heard the horse, and I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good horse. I wonder if they got samples, or they just got like Frank Welker or somebody. And then I looked at the voice cast, and Frank Welker voices the horse.
Frank Welker is the horse, and he's the bull.
He's also the bull. Yes, he's also the bull.
Of course he is, because Frank Welker is the
Because
best.
Frank Welker is just like that. Yeah, I don't know how he does it, but he does.
I was really worried especially after Ant, that I was gonna keep saying the word like stunt casting over and over for this podcast. And I'm glad I don't have to say it here, because like I think everyone here like fit the role well.
Yeah, they actually did.
They got,
And
like,
it definitely helped, even if they're not big parts, or if they're big parts, something like the horse. It does help that there's actual voice actors here, like they're primarily voice actors. That definitely helps.
Yeah,
this was pre-Shrek.
I will say, Jim Cummings, he voiced a lot of people. It wasn't just Cortez. He
No,
voiced a
true.
lot of background characters.
True.
So basically, he was the Joey Richter of this movie.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, if you're a voice actor, you have to be the Joey Richter. That's how you get a
You
job.
really do. We can't afford anybody else. Get Jim to do it.
On the topic of the voice cast, this I didn't realize at all. This, I was just looking at the cast. Bob Bergen is in this as the Jaguar?
Wait, what?
Yeah,
And Bob Bergen, for those who don't know, is Porky Pig and Tweety in Modern Looney Tunes.
What?
Yes, he's the current voice of if you're watching the voice acting documentary, he does a demonstration on how to do Porky Pig.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
It's so good. It's so
Yeah.
perfect. The robotic Jaguar, who just kind of shows up, by the way.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll definitely get into that. I don't think there's anything else, at least that I recognize, because none of the other characters are like, oh my god, these are, like, voice actors. Oh my god, they're all regular actors, so nothing against them. It's just that it's, like, my likeliness of recognizing them from other things just drops down the drain.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only other thing I really have to say is that, like, the sailor, the guy that they got the map from is Tobin Bell, who's like Jigsaw from the Saw movies.
What the fuck?
But aside from that, no, this is
like to play a game.
more about like selling the characters and selling Elton John than it is about the look. It's Robin Williams in the movie. It's not to that extent.
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty big part of the movie, though. Do we want to talk about Elton John in the songs, or do we want to be more normal, I guess, and talk about the characters?
I don't think I have much to say on the music, because even I've only watched this once.
I don't have a lot to say on the music because it just was very much like it came and went for me.
I agree. I didn't really feel like much any of the song. I can tell which one was like the song,
Yup.
Tough to Be a God.
Yeah.
But that one didn't really stick with me. I'm not
Me neither.
because I found out that the premise of this is basically based on like the old like the Bob Hope movies, the Road to Morocco or whatever, and that just made me realize that like this all I really know about those movies is like the Family Guy parodies.
God.
And now it's just to Rhode Island bound, and now I got that song stuck in my head instead.
I know exactly which song you're talking about.
Again, as someone who grew up with the songs, I may be a bit biased. I kind of agree with you, though. Most of the songs came and went. Again, Trail That We Blaze, though, that stuck with me. That stuck with me since the beginning. But to me, that's like the quintessential adventure song. Maybe it was because of the visuals. Maybe it was because it helped advance the story through a montage. Maybe it was because of the visuals. I don't know. Just something about that song really stuck with me. Tough to Be a God is like you said, the song. But I don't know. Just it hit me as much as Trail We Blaze. I don't know. The visuals were great for both, regardless.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially for Tough to Be a God. They got crazy. The horse got drunk.
Yeah, I love that ending.
I think like knowing that this is based on like those old like Bob Hope movies, like I can definitely see like Tough to Be a God being like one of those songs where they fully thought out like, okay, this is gonna be the one where they have like banter with each other and they make jokes, and it's like it's a conversation back and forth, much like those songs. And that's pretty much it. Like the rest of it is like it's like Elton John songs.
Yep. I was like, it felt like they were made just to be played on the radio, and it was like, oh, I guess I'll put in this movie too. Traily Blaze is and Tough to Be a God are great. I forgot about the one totally, like when Miguel is like in the city, like interacting with the villagers. I completely forgot that one existed.
That one bothers me so much because he starts playing the guitar, and it's like this genuinely nice moment where, you know, he's warming up with the villagers and everything, and then he doesn't sing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? Wash, you're gonna pop off at this. Remember with Ants when Random was like, "Oh, I see what you guys mean about the Good Dinosaur now. I see what you guys' problem is with Annie with the music." I was like, "Oh, it's forgettable. It's not bad." But now I'm like, I get it.
Yep, it's so much better if they sing it sometimes.
Yeah.
Granted, not every time. There are some times where it works. Like Prince of Egypt, it worked when Moses kind of didn't sing it, but we still like. It felt like it was his emotion still.
Yeah.
This literally just felt like background music.
Yeah, which it could work. It didn't, but it could.
It could have worked, but it did not. What do you think is worse though? That song or Never Say Goodbye?
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, I had that feeling just like, ooh, ow, no.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna throw this one into the ring just so that we can move on and we don't have to think about this. You're playing with the big boys now or whatever. That one's the worst. Moving on.
Well, yeah, that's worse.
I'm just throwing it in there. We're agreeing. We're moving on. We'll get to that.
I hate that was the worst song of El Dorado.
Although Random, I mean, we can still talk about the characters. I'm fine if we want to move to there next. But Random, and talking about Tough to Be a God, he said they went all out with the visuals, and I would love to talk about the visuals. Do you want to go to that, or do we want to talk about the characters? Who, admittedly, I would also really like to talk about
visuals.
Let's go to visuals.
Okay, all right, let's talk about the visuals. So, what did we think of them?
Holy shit!
So I definitely think that we can break this down. Like, okay, for me, like if we're talking like the visuals, it's honestly more of a technical thing, but the character animation.
Oh my god!
Like I can definitely see, like, if you're a student of animation, you are studying this film frame by frame because the way that all the characters get expressive, like even like the small little thing, like when Chow is trying to like signal to the two guys to like play along, and she does that like wide high like head lean.
That might be the funniest frame that I've seen for the entire podcast so far.
Like, goddamn, and like when you see in the credits that like all the main characters having their own animation team, yeah, I buy that.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to, because that's part of how the 2D animation works. But like you can really tell that like they put their all into each of these characters to make them expressive and like unique. The way they like carry themselves, the way they walk, the way they like listen to a conversation is all based on their characters.
I do kind of wish that. I mean, I do agree. I mean, we were talking about Chell, and she doesn't have this problem at all. She had the best faces of the whole movie. But I think it's just specifically with Miguel and Tulio that I kind of wish they went off model a little bit more. They looked very. What's the word I'm trying to like? I mean, I don't want to say like, oh, like I don't want to say good, because obviously, like, oh, they look good. Movie sucks. But I do wish that they were allowed to be a bit goofier. Maybe not goofy. No, this is El Dorado. I wish they were allowed to be a little goofier, because like I'm seeing these like the actors are like really like, you know, playing up these performances, and they're really funny, and then their characters' expressions are like really on model and clean, like it would be in something like Prince of Egypt. Which Prince of Egypt, they needed to be on model. I have no complaints, but here it just felt like sometimes, not like all the time. And I mean, there were some times where just like the comedy of the situation or another character made it funny anyway. But there were some times where I was like, I kind of wish they could be a little bit more loose, I guess.
I found it out, and I was actually reminded by Nathan, a friend of the podcast, that like this came out the same year as Emperor's New Groove, like another Mayan film, and it turns out like Katzenberg was actually working he was still in Disney when that was in production, and it's not clear if he like completely ripped it off, but like according to somebody who worked on the project, they said that like Katzenberg like kind of rushed us to like get this out before Disney would.
What a
and
shock.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
I don't think they were aware of it, but both of these films kind of had the exact same. They were at first gonna be like much more serious, and then they decided to like scrap a whole bunch of the movie and like make it like more of a comedy. Somehow it feels both pristine and rushed. Like both movies turned out to not have like they changed in directors and all. Like I think that they just kind of had to like rush this out. And there's this particular part of the animation where I feel like, oh, they rushed. But I'm not gonna get to that yet. But I can definitely see what you mean that this definitely felt clean.
Yeah.
And
Emperor's New Groove felt very loose. I guess Claire Fluffle's hot take of the podcast. I'm not that big of a fan of Emperor's New Groove. There's like two characters that I'm obsessed with. There's two characters that I'm obsessed with. I'm sure you know who they are, but otherwise, I'm really not a fan of a lot of the things of Emperor's New Groove. But I love the animation. Super goofy, super loose, super expressive. And it's funny you bring that up. I mean, obviously you brought it up for a different reason, but funny that you bring it up because I feel like if El Dorado kind of had maybe not more of an Emperor, because this movie has a much bigger scope than Emperor's New Groove. So I'm not saying that it really needed to borrow like that kind of goofy, but just talking about Miguel and Tulio, and maybe they could have pulled a little bit, but that's asking Jeffrey Katzenberg to pull from Disney, so I know it wasn't going to happen.
Well, yeah,
it's the third movie now out of however many movies DreamWorks has.
I could tell the animation was a bit rushed, and it's not like as beautiful and gorgeous as Prince of Egypt, but I don't know, it doesn't need to be, in my opinion. Does that make any sense?
Like what it needs to be is snappy, and this can definitely have that snappy animation. It's not to the extent of Emperor's New Groove with this. It's like Warner Brothers snappy.
Yes, I brought up Warner Brothers a few times as a DreamWorks comparison, and I was definitely thinking about that. It would be like if Elmer Fudd shot Daffy and his beak still looked normal. Like, should not be doing this.
Your gun shot me in the face.
I can't tell like which impression that was.
Anyway, do you have any other, specifically Random, because Watch and I kind of yacked it. Do you have any extra thoughts on the animation, Random?
The facial expressions are so funny.
2 seconds. I know I said this, Tulio and Miguel could have been a little better, but Shell, I don't think they could have made her any better.
No, fantastic.
No. Like if we're talking like Star, we'll get to her.
Yeah.
When we talk about characters, we'll get to her.
Yeah. But I'm sorry. I promise I won't interrupt you again, Random. I promise.
There's one point, I think it's very early on, where it's like, no, and you just see like Miguel just go through like 5 facial expressions in the span of like seconds. I don't know, that always make me laugh. I don't think it's that restrictive. Like, sure, it's not like super snappy like Emperor's New Groove and quick, but I don't know, it still made me laugh. You don't need it to be snappy in order to be funny. I remember it. I hate to bring him up again, but one of the first times I saw someone talk about this movie was a certain unnamed critic, and he was always complaining, like, he says, it's not funny because the animation looks too pretty. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I see his point, and I agree to an extent, but I wouldn't go so far as to say it's not funny. This movie's still kind of, sort of, like, really goddamn funny.
Yeah, it's not as snappy as you think it would be. I get it. But I still thought it was enjoyable and funny. And I still was laughing at some points. Even, we were like, the horse, this was a lot of fun, too. Everyone had at least one good facial expression. Everybody.
Oh, yes. They like I said, they put if they couldn't get in like crowd shot, they'll get the character animation.
Yeah.
But oh my god, the crowd shot.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It ain't no.
I was taking screenshots of those because I was like, oh my goodness, this is horrible. This is so bad. This is so bad. Like this is understandable when they're like far away and you're not paying attention to them. You do not have them that close up. Especially like on the big screen. I'm just like towards the end when like you can tell that there's like 3 guys that were like actually animated, and the rest is just like copy pasted, like the same like 10 models that they used.
Yeah.
The one buff guy that's like always raising his arms. I was losing my mind at him because he just kept showing up, and he was so obvious. That was so bad.
It was a tough time.
Tough crowd.
Tough crowd, yay. All right, well, we talked about the visuals, we talked about the music, we could talk about the characters, we could talk about the story. Please, God, don't make us talk about the story. So let's talk about the characters, please.
Let's talk about the characters. Let's talk about the characters.
So I know we're usually gonna do like one at a time, but you can't talk about just Miguel or just Tulio.
I agree.
Agreed.
I agree.
Let's talk about Miguel and Tulio.
We've got a lot of DreamWorks movies to go, so this is going to be something, I feel like this is going to be a question that we'll be asking ourselves a lot. Is blank main duo in this movie better than Tulio and Miguel? If the answer is yes, you've got a lot of explaining to do.
Well, I can think of maybe one duo.
Well, I mean, we'll see as we go along, of course. I'm just saying that it's like, you know, if we're really trying to hype them up, then the question you gotta ask yourself, are they better than Miguel and Tulio? Because if they are, you got a lot of explaining to do, because holy moly.
They are a bi couple. I'm sorry.
They're poly.
This
like,
came out a few...
They're definitely poly with Chell, definitely.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Did you see the look on Miguel's face when he heard Tulio talk to Chell about, like, forget Miguel? That is not the face of losing of a friend. That is the face of a scorned lover.
Okay, real quick, because that leads to the parts of the story that I freaking loathe. Instead of talking about Miguel, I want to talk about the horse's face.
No,
that made me laugh so much. It's like, oh my god, he walked in on the boyfriends fighting. Oh my god.
Yep. He's like, oh. It's so funny. But Miguel and Tulio, they work so well with each other. Something about Miguel's optimistic... I'm trying to think of the right word to describe him. Optimistic. He's a golden retriever boy.
I want to go that far. I want to go that far. I think I should know.
Himbo, maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Himbo.
He's not like built enough to be a himbo.
Jimbo.
No, not Jimbo.
Jimbo.
He just seems so innocent and optimistic. And he's like, oh my god, it's the map. We'll find the gold and it'll be great. And Tulio,
stop it. Don't give me those eyes! Don't give me those eyes! Stop it!
Yeah, when you say like, don't give me those eyes, it's like, oh, this is a couple. This is a couple.
Yes!
Yes. If this movie came out like a decade later, they would be gay.
No, that they would be bi. Well, okay.
Bi-poly.
Yeah, Tulio would be bi. Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. Actually, I didn't take notes, but I took one note. I wrote this down because this was the moment where it's like, all of the estrogen I could muster was just going crazy. My regret, besides dying, is our greatest adventure is over before it began, and no one will even remember us. Well, if it's any consolation, Miguel, you made my life an adventure. And if it's any consolation, Tulio, you made my life rich.
And then the horse is like,
yeah, and then the horse, yeah.
It's like, God, be gay somewhere else.
Get a room, God.
Just make out already.
Kiss!
The homophobic horse.
You know who's not homophobic? You know who's very, homo excited, I guess. Chell.
Homo.
Oh my god. I still want to say more about Miguel and Tulio,
no, it's fair.
Their chemistry is great. They have a lot of fun. Their banter, like, even though the animation isn't, their banter is quick and zippy.
Yeah.
And, like, they're able to just work off each other, like, no problems. And I don't know if it's because of the chemistry in previous movies, like you mentioned, or just the fact that I wouldn't be surprised if they were literally in the recording booth together doing these lines, because it feels so natural.
I definitely, they have charisma for like charisma and chemistry, like for miles.
Yeah,
I think they're like they might be like real life friends too, because I know that like they're in each other's movies and stuff. I already mentioned Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
But I think they just like each other, and they
like each
definitely,
other, all right.
Oh, they definitely. It's like Ed, Edd and Eddy without Double D.
Yeah.
Well, I
Oh
never.
You have the conniving one, and if anything, it's like Tulio is kind of like it's Eddie and Double D combined, because he's like he's like a mastermind planner, but he's also like a nervous wreck.
Yes. Oh my God, he's such nervous. He's always thinking about. It's literally optimism and pessimism. Like every time Miguel thinks of a dream, he's like, oh, I'm just gonna walk around the city. He's like, no, you'll get sacrificed. You're gonna get found out and killed.
In the dead of night, you and I grab some provisions, hijack one of the rowboats.
There's a good demonstration where I think there's like a point where like Trell is talking, and like Tulio is like leaning they're both leaning forward, and like Tulio is like giving like a eyebrow raise, like he's coming up with a plan in the middle of her talking, and Miguel is just like smiling, just like just has this big dopey smile.
Yeah, that tells you all you need to know.
Like he's just happy to be alive.
Yeah. Whereas, Tulio is always paranoid and planning. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like Miguel.
Really?
Really?
Pretty early on, I looked at Miguel and just something deep inside, I think it's the character design, where I was just like, I hate this.
Wow.
Not so I don't like hate. I don't hate. No, but just like this is like supremely annoying. I think it's the smirk. I think it's that smirk that I really. It might be like the smirk combined with the goatee. Something about it where it feels hideous.
Wow.
I love that adjective.
What did Miguel do to you?
I mean, I didn't hate Miguel. I didn't look at Miguel and think that's hideous. But I definitely prefer Tulio of the two.
Yeah.
Oh no, I like Miguel.
I mean, I like Miguel too. I think one of his best scenes is when he's on the streets and the guards are like, "Oh, you ordered the streets clean for the execution," and he's trying to befriend the people. It doesn't work, so he just makes a little guitar out of some parts that he finds. He's playing, people coming up to him. It's just acting friendly to everybody. That was I like that scene. That was very nice. But I also see Miguel kind of like as I'm pretty much the sole one that gets all of us in trouble.
Yeah, he's the
like between the two of us. I mean, obviously, they're good together. They're good for each other. But Tulio always seems to have a plan. He always seems to know like at least something that he can do to get by, and it's not really typically ever his own fault that the plans go wrong. You could argue like him getting close with Chell was kind of going wrong, but I mean that's like one thing. But it does lead to the misunderstanding, so it's like whatever.
Oh God.
I know I was saying before that the animation was very still and stuff for Tulio and Miguel, but like I don't think a character has made me laugh as hard recently, except for Chell, I guess, as Tulio.
Yeah.
He is very funny. Maybe I know Wash was saying with Miguel, it's like, oh, I don't like his smirk and his goatee. Tulio's build, I think, is just naturally really funny.
Yeah. He just has like a skinny head with like a braid and like a beard. And
I mean, like his whole body too.
Yeah.
It's like he always wants to he always wants to be on top. Like there's the one part, it didn't make me laugh, but it did make me smile. Where it's like they were jailed in the ship, like on the way to El Dorado. And like Miguel was trying to like entice the horse to bring him a pry bar, and like Tulio was like, "This is a horse. He has no idea what a pry bar is." And then they dropped in some keys, and he says, "Well, it's not a pry bar."
Yeah, like if
I made me smile.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I wasn't expecting a punchline.
yeah, and it's one of those things that it's like on its own, like I agree that it's not funny, but the reason why it made you smile and it made us laugh is because coming from Tulio, coming from this kind of character.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, like he has to be the right one.
Yeah.
Even when he's like wrong, he should be like, well, technically, I'm right.
Technically, I'm right.
Technically. All right, can we talk about Chell?
Yes, we could talk
Yes,
about Chell.
Yes, let's talk
Oh my
about Chell,
God,
the star of the film.
Oh my
Like,
God.
Oh my god.
Legitimately,
Oh my
she.
God.
Like I said Miguel and Tulio's facial expressions are magnificent. Oh my god. Literally, if you do not put her face in the thumbnail of this video, I swear to God.
Again, like going back to like those like Bob Hope, Bing Crosby films, like it's like the two of them and like the woman who knows more than the other two, and this is definitely that archetype. And it was just so nice to like have like a female character is just being like funny as fuck.
Oh
yeah, so the thing about Chell, it's so wonderful. I mean, like, yeah, there's like book smarts with Tulio, I guess, but they're both dumb as bricks, right? So Chell, Chell comes along and she's like, "Oh, hey, I know the culture. I can help you two. I can be, you know, the responsible one of the group." And then it turns out she's dumb as bricks too.
Yeah.
She doesn't tell them about like basic.
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. And when she's like, hurry up, get changed. You gotta get ready for the ceremony. And she's watching them, and Tulio goes, "Do you mind?" She goes, "No." sorry. You were talking.
When I was telling my friend I was gonna watch Road to El Dorado, his immediate response is a very horny movie. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
what?
yeah.
What are the gods
Turns
gonna?
out this was originally PG-13, and they toned it down. They like Chell's outfit was almost like a lot more risque, and it still didn't tone it down.
Yeah. I was gonna say, it's still
Like the sex scene, like they had sex.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I'm not being like funny here. They had sex.
Yeah, exactly. Lucky guy.
What's he gonna say when one of the gods is here with me? Lucky guy.
Guy. like Nathan showed me like there's like an ancient video. It's a clip of that scene, and the title of the video is cartoon blowjob.
That's something I never thought I'd talk about in this podcast.
Yeah, but Road to El Dorado.
Look, this is hard PG. Okay.
Yeah.
We're not in Pixar anymore.
We're not the Pixar. Here.
You have Jeffrey Katzenberg to thank for that.
We started the trail that we blazed, and someone just
And
blazed.
it's like
That's for
still
sure.
like it would have been even like more risque, but like I guess they were like, no, I guess let's try to tone it down a bit.
Yeah.
To keep the conversation on Shell. I'll distract Tulio. He won't even notice you're gone. Okay, thank you. Hey, where's Miguel? I don't know.
Oh! Actually, no. You forgot a point of the joke that makes it funnier. At one point, he's like, "Hey, before Miguel leaves, he goes, hey, have you seen a TiVo? I don't know."
Oh yeah.
And then
yeah.
and then Tulio's like, "Where's Miguel?
I don't know.
I don't know." The same exact way.
Exactly. My master plan is just feign ignorance.
Yeah. And then just distracts him with sex, and then
yeah. I'm not asking you to trust me.
I'm sorry. So sorry.
That was so funny. The way that he says so sorry.
Oh man.
And like I said, we're talking about facial expressions, like the definitely like the her role is Tulio even mentions like temptation, but honestly she's not like a femme fatale or anything like that. She is just a regular love interest.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because like they had sex immediately, but I bought it. I bought this relationship.
No, again, I know I said this already, but here's why I buy it. Tulio pretends like he's not dumb as bricks. He's dumb as bricks. Chell pretends she's not dumb as bricks. She's dumb as bricks.
You remind me of a certain someone.
Oh, Tulio would fall in love with himself if he could.
They work well together as a romance, and you know what? give El Dorado credit. They have a love interest that has a personality, which is some animated films that this came out this day and age still didn't have.
There's still movies coming out today still don't have. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just because she has personality. Like, I know she's the love interest, but it's like I can't see her like that. Just because there's so much to her, you know?
She's Chell.
Yeah, she's Chell, exactly. She's one of the main trio.
And she's
at least important of the main trio, but she's the main trio.
Yeah. And despite being dumb as bricks, she is essential to knowing the cultures of El Dorado.
Exactly. That's what makes it so much fun. Especially with a character like Tulio, who, as Watch said, always has to be on top, no matter what.
Yep.
Being outsmarted by this person who he recognizes is probably not that smart. But he can't do anything because without her, they don't know anything. They can't just wing it, you know? That's what makes their situation so much fun. I guess Miguel and Chell could work together a little bit more, but...
Yeah, they really didn't.
Yeah.
If anything, they were kind of trying to hit them against each other.
Chell kisses Miguel at one point, so it's like, you know it is Polly.
At least from how I read it, like, Miguel doesn't have any real ill will. It's not like a jealousy. It's not like he hates Chell. It's like jealous and like wants to like sabotage Chell. He's mad at Tulio.
Yeah.
And they have the mopey dopey.
Do you want to talk about the Moby Dopey, or do you want to talk about the other characters?
I mean, there's two other characters. I guess there's more than two, but like if we're being realistic here, there's two other characters we could talk about. There is Tzekel-Kan and Chief Tanabok.
Can I just say I kind of love how Chief Tanabok, they kind of hint that he knows about the con.
Oh, he's
okay with it.
I mean, we'll talk about things like this later, but like right off the bat, I could tell like he didn't really buy it.
Yeah, just from his facial expression.
Yeah, like when Tzekel-Kan is like, the gods, they've arrived, it's my turn. And you can just see on his face, he's like, these are our gods?
Really?
But one of my favorite scenes of the movie, actually, was when Miguel was saying, the boat needs more rope. We can't leave in a boat like this. And, you know, he's trying to be like, trying to come up with an excuse to stay. And, you know, he says, you know, to err is human, which is calling back to something that's said before. But also pretty much telling Miguel straight that it's like, hey, I know you're not gods. And Miguel looks at him all nervous, but he's just like, don't worry about it.
Like for him, this is just like, this is a political angle.
Yeah, well, I mean, more to the point, like, more to the point, how happy Miguel made the other villagers. That's what matters to him.
Yeah,
he doesn't care about the gods. He cares about the people that are there right now. That he's a leader in
the gods.
It's more like he really does not care for the sacrifice.
Yeah, yeah, he's not. Tzekel-Kan is like, oh, the sacrifices, oh. But
meanwhile, the chief is like,
can we just eat, get the horse dung,
and play ball and not kill people? Like literally, Tzekel-Kan is like, everyone must die for the gods.
For the gods. This is how we play ball.
Yeah. And I just, I like that the chief is implied that he knows, and he really just wants what's best for his people, which Miguel especially has been making his people feel good, especially when Tzekel-Kan wants them, the alternative Tzekel-Kan wanting the gods to destroy the very world and lives of his people. Like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, of course the chief is gonna want to keep them around because one, they're on his side, and two, it's best for him and his people. Because Tzekel-Kan wants to see the destruction of El Dorado, even so much that he leads Cortez to them because he thinks that he's a god. Which, by the way, some interesting foreshadowing. I kind of like how it was pieced together. Why is Cortez here other than like maybe a historical accuracy thing? And then at one point you see Tzekel-Kan going, this is not what I expected, and looking at a drawing of like a brute like animal in like armor, and you're like, oh, that's a weird look, and that's not Miguel and Tulio. And then the thing happens where he gets sucked up, and he finds Cortez, and you just see him look at Cortez with the image of that drawing, and was like, oh,
yeah.
I thought it was clever.
I did thought that like it was the ending of his character arc was like dark, because it was just like the Tzekel-Kan is like finally he tried to show them the entrance, and he's like, no, and Cortez is like, this was a waste of time. And then he just like dragged them out, and it's like they're like the other characters just like laugh at him, and it's just like he's either gonna get beheaded or he's gonna get sold to slavery. Probably gonna get sold to slavery, honestly.
I mean, he did want a bunch of people to die.
He was such a jerk.
He was such a jerk.
If it were up to him, a whole village would have been killed.
I do like that, you know, their whole plans would have fallen apart, and Tzekel-Kan actually could have shown them, like, yeah, there are other people here. If they had just turned around. If he was not the only person who was facing that direction, because they were just like, oh, haha, look at you get dragged off. If he just shouted, turn around, their plan would have been ruined.
Yeah. I mean, they wouldn't have gotten to El Dorado, but...
Oh, yeah, but I mean, Miguel and Tulio were there. Cortez, like, hates those two.
Which I didn't understand, like, who cares?
Yeah, it's just Cortez's role in the movie in general. Like, I mean, it's neat that he was the god and whatever, but, like, I didn't get it at all. I mean, okay, in the beginning, I got it. Like, that's okay. But after they crash, or they get off the boat, they crash on El Dorado, I don't understand why Cortez, it made sense for him to be in the movie. And you're doing it for the story, doesn't make sense. Or no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The script. That's what he meant. If you're doing it because of the script, that doesn't make sense.
Hey, they took the Frank Welker horse. When you take the Frank Welker horse, shit gets personal.
Yeah, well, how do you know where the horse went?
I don't know. I would just make it a fun
story. This movie story just tries my patience so much.
Yeah. I question before we talk about the story. Talk about like that. What the real villain of the film is Tzekel-Kan.
Yes.
What did you think of him?
I like his face.
Yeah.
It looks funny to me. It looks so like weird, and I like it.
I would laugh at those. Like the biggest laugh was like those one shot where like they were up. They were like at the. They were walking up the pyramid, and like you know the Tulio and Miguel are just like huffing puffing, and like there's a shot where like Tzekel-Kan is like looking straight up into the sky. I can't describe it except that I paused, I took a screenshot, and I just lost it. I was laughing so hard.
You share it to us in the Discord because I want to
what
see
is this perspective? Why?
He's looking up at the gods and like, thank you for blessing them.
And it's like his eyes are like egg yolk. That's what I can describe it.
Yeah. The thing is, he's
weird bulbs on the top of his head. I was like, what is
the thing is, Tulio describes him crazy. He's nuts. he's a little crazy with the sacrifices. And
I like that design, like just right away it's like, oh, that's the bad guy.
That's the bad guy. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things about this movie you could tell how they're gonna happen at first glance.
Yeah. And the bad guy was certainly one of them. I don't know. I thought he was intimidating enough. Like you were like, oh, like when he figures out that they're not gods because of the whole blood thing. I'm like you could tell shit's gone down.
Yeah.
And
he still had like his funny moments, like the when they're having the ball game, and Tulio says like, I'm demonstrating the first avoidance maneuver, and Tzekel-Kan is like, I never heard of such a thing.
Well, who made the game, huh?
You did.
Or the like a little bit earlier, where it's like he's talking with Tulio, and like he tries to get to them about like trying to do the blood sacrifices, and then he like Tulio walks away, and like Tzekel-Kan like cries, and he says, "Finally, we're connecting."
That was one of the best jokes of the movie.
It really is.
It's just such an odd sight.
Yeah. Because I mean, he's a funny bad guy, but he's still like relatively intimidating for the rest of the movie. It's just this one really random moment. It's really funny.
Yeah. I'll even say like going with him being intimidating. That whole scene beforehand where he's like doing like the shape shifting magic and shit. That's scary for a kid. Like the whole like describing like how humans are like disgusting and spiders.
That's gross.
Like, that was some like that's disgusting. That's disgusting. They're beyond disgusting. And I'm like, also he's kind of cruel because he's like when he finds out the gods are like thing, he's like, all right, I'm gonna make a jaguar become alive. but it needs something. A body, and throws his henchman
Oh,
into
I
the
like
pit
that.
to
I like
die.
that guy too.
Yeah, I liked him. He was like,
Oh, yeah, he's like, do you know why the gods demand blood? And the guy's
I
like,
don't know.
oh, I don't know. I don't know why they gave him like a dopey voice.
because he's the villain's henchman.
Yeah.
He literally just dies.
Poor guy.
And then he becomes a Porky Pig Jaguar.
And then he becomes Porky Pig Jaguar. Yeah.
Oh, one of my favorite extra lines is when a villager, also by Jim Cumming, when when a villager runs and like avoids getting hit, he goes, "I'm okay," and then gets crushed by something. I'm still okay.
I'm hanging in there. That was when it really hit me that, like, wow, Jim Cummings actually voices half the characters in this movie, huh?
Yeah, he is the Joey Richter of this movie. What did you think of the callback between you giving me loaded dice and you're not a god? Because it's set up in the beginning very early when they're like doing the whole loaded dice thing, and they used
But
it as a
also,
like
at the same time, like you could tell that this was actually a real life.
Yeah. Unlike that first one where it was so much more jovial.
Then like I guess you might as well have it in the middle of like an action sequence of like trying to fool the villain who mostly just like you could like kill them, but he's mostly just like enjoying this.
Yeah.
he's like
that was a touch I liked. It isn't, why aren't you killing them, villain? Come on, they're right there. It's more like, oh, he's soaking in the scenery, huh?
oh
Yeah.
The couple's fighting. I want to
Yeah.
watch this.
Oh, boyfriend's as a homophobe. I enjoy this.
Darn religion.
We've already talking about the story, so we might as well talk about the story.
It's
Sucks.
yeah, it's not that great of a
When
story.
in the beginning of the movie, they're fencing, and Tulio goes, "My partner and rival," or whatever. I know every plot point.
Yep. Yep, it's not winning anything original with story.
No,
Wait.
it is. If we're going back to how I was feeling about Miguel, I was just having a feeling it's like this movie is kind of annoying.
It sucks so much because I really love the characters and the style and the vibes. They literally could not think of a more boring story if they tried. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, because the characters are pretty much A tier.
Yeah, the characters are
they
A tier
are-
and the story is G tier.
And G is worse than
G
F.
is worse than F.
Terrible Meal and Fire Emblem Engage, but it doesn't matter. I even so I was watching the film and it was, yeah, this is the story. It's happening. And it's like it is weird because it feels like the characters they're onto something with all the characters, and it's done so much. Like they do some cool things. Like I like how they cheat with the game by using that freaking armadillo, which I thought was just gonna be a Disney animal character, but he does serve some purpose.
Still the mascot character that just
Yeah.
kept going up.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think of things like I was saying before, like the chief saying to Air is human, saying that he doesn't know that they're not gods, but there's just stuff like that. It's like, oh, there's actually like a little bit of layers to this. You can actually like kind of pick it apart, and it's interesting. It's very rare. Like, oh, they're on a deserted island and they see people wearing something very vaguely resembling Native American clothing. They're gods. Sure enough.
Yeah, they show the volcano like multiple times, and we're like, oh, okay, that's gonna be how they demonstrate that they're gods.
Yep. Or like I said at the beginning of the movie when he said my partner in crime or whatever, it's like they're gonna have a fight. They're gonna get in over their heads. They're gonna have a fight.
Yep.
Tulio says,
and they do.
Tulio says, Shell is a distraction. We must not let Shell in on the group. It's like, okay, Tulio's gonna let Shell in on the group. And that's how they're gonna get into a fight.
Yep.
Miguel's gonna leave, gonna cause trouble, because Tulio told him not to. While he's out causing trouble.
Yeah,
Shell and Tulio are gonna do things. Oh my god, and then when they had their fight, oh my god.
they telegraphed so much with this movie.
Like, you're not that smart, guys. You're really not.
No.
Like I thought that like the one thing that I'll give, it's not a story thing, but it was just like, oh okay, that's a good good callback. Was Tulio is like crying because all the gold is gone, and then like the horse looks at his horseshoes and then just puts them away.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good callback.
Yeah, I mean, the movie's loaded with good, like, the callbacks are good, the characters are good, the humor is good, the animation is mostly good.
Don't look at the crowds.
Don't look at the crowds. Some CG shots look a little off too, but you know what? It's fine. They're learning how CG works, testing the waters.
CG gold.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like okay with the CG because it's like, does it look great? Not really, but you know, I can at least see it as like, okay, they're testing the waters for CG, seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. Like, I can at least, you know, respect it from an innovation angle. It looks a little weird, but I can respect it at least. You know, like I'm not. It might sound weird after what I've been sounding like the last 10, 15 minutes, but I'm really not that hard to please. I just want something that's like serviceably enjoyable. I can make lemonade out of lemons, right? Or reverse. I don't know how the saying goes. I don't know how the saying goes. I forget. But like, God, the story. Oh my God.
Yep, it's and the ending isn't that great either.
The ending's just like it happens. I mean, stuff with Tulio is really funny. How he comes up with the plan, and then Chell is like, but what about the gold? And he's just like, But like Miguel's quote-unquote sacrifice, where he's like, oh, to save him, I'm gonna leave the village. And he has a moment with the chief where they collectively mutually understand each other. It's like, okay, well, obviously they're having an argument. They're having a third act breakup. Of course they're gonna end up together. Like, why would you think otherwise?
Yeah, it's what the story says.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, well, this is my first time seeing that kind of movie, so it's not necessarily going to be that kind of bad of a thing. And it's like, how many times do these two say they're never going to split up? How many times is the movie hinting that these two are never going to split up? You are not smart, movie. You are not smart. Random brought this up before for sure. Maybe watched it, but definitely Random. How this movie is everywhere and everybody knows about it via GIFs or GIFs, whatever your preference. And there are a lot of movies that come out today that really feel like they're made to be clippable. You know, in the era of Twitch and TikTok and all that stuff, you need to have these moments that it's just like no context. You can show the kids so that they can just get a laugh that's like completely soulless and pointless.
The shot for the trailer.
Yeah, shot for the trailer, stuff like that. And when my one concern, aside from the fact that I remember the story being bad and so that turned out, one of my big concerns was that it would be like, oh, well, you know, you see GIFs everywhere for this movie, and maybe it'll feel like that. And maybe it's because this movie predates, like, I mean, I don't want to say it predates GIFs, but it predates, like, meme GIFs, you know? It predates, like, TikTok and Twitch and clipping and YouTube and all that. They still felt like, you know, really funny moments, but they didn't feel like they were force-shoved in there because if they don't have it, then the attention span of their audience isn't gonna, like, stay. They assume their audience has an attention span of 5 seconds, so they constantly need to have, like, a forced joke, I guess that's the best way I could put it. There's definitely better ways to put it, but I don't know. The jokes here felt like either isolated or in context. They felt really funny and in character. I like that.
I wasn't laughing as much, but I can definitely, like, I have, like, an appreciation of, like, okay, you're getting the timing good. It works in a micro level and the macro level, like you said. Like, it works tiny bit in the moment, and it works as a whole for the character.
Yes, very well put. Thank you.
You want to talk about the horse?
Oh yeah, I guess we never really talked about the horse.
Oh yeah, the Disney horse. It's a dog as a horse.
I would say it's less of a dog than other horse dogs.
Yeah, I would compare it to like which I actually finally saw this movie, so I can say this. I would compare it to like the Tangled horse, where it's less of a dog and more of a, I mean, decidedly not an animal, but made into an animal, which I mean is its own thing that you could like or dislike. But I mean, the big difference between that and a dog is that this has personality.
Yeah, Ativo is oozing with personality.
Yeah. That's what elevates him above a dog. And I know. I'm looking at my ears as we speak. I know how that sounds coming from me.
This doesn't make sense in audio form, but
it's okay. Do some research on who the hell we are.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's one scene where like Miguel is like jealous, and like he's like stalking while he's like watching Tulio and Chell like fuck again, and the horse walks in and just like jaw drop.
I brought that up earlier. That's such a good moment. It's such a good moment.
Miguel is still like stalking,
Yeah.
but the horse is just like,
Yeah.
are you seeing this?
Yeah, he walked in on the boyfriends fighting.
And he was like, "Oh my god, oh!" It's like the Puss in Boots cat.
Oh, I'll talk about the Puss in Boots cast like, I don't know, like 50 episodes later.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Was there something else you were gonna say, Wash, before we end?
Calling back to Ants. There's one point where one of them says, "You the god." It's like, oh no, please don't do this to me again.
Wait, you the god?
Yeah. I think Tulio says it to Miguel. Like they're tossing stuff for. I almost forgot to bring this up. The funniest game of hot potato ever.
When they're like,
Yeah, when they run into Shell and the bodyguards find them. And they're like, "There's the thing we were looking for." She throws it, just instinctively just throws it to Tulio, throws it back to her. And they just keep tossing it back and forth to each other. And then she throws it at like Miguel or somebody, just bonks them on the head.
She throws it to Tulio, and when he's like, bonk. Again, the physical comedy in this is great. I love it. You know what you also love?
Chell, I do. So when I saw this movie for the first time, I had kind of a crush on her, and I was like, oh, I remember the story not being that great. It won't. And then watching it, I was like, oh yeah, no, that didn't go away.
You know what also doesn't go away?
You don't have access to the timer. I do. This isn't gonna work.
We can like cut it off, but we don't have anything else to say.
You want to know what else doesn't have anything to say? The timer. Okay. So final thoughts. Oh my god. Okay, final thoughts. Do we want to start positive or end positive? That's the question.
I'm ending positives. End with me.
All right. I don't know who liked this movie less between me and Wash, so I'm gonna assume Wash because of Miguel. So you go first.
Like I said, it made me smile at times, but it kind of made me sad because I'm gonna bring in like a $2 word here. It give me a sense of like anamoria, which means like nostalgia for like an experience I never had. Because like listening to you two and like talking to the other people who's just like, oh yeah, I watched it as a kid. I remember liking it as a kid. I wished I watched it as a kid, cause then like this movie would be like, it looks great, funny as hell, the songs are memorable. Instead, I'm pushing 30, and this looks like shit. It's annoying as hell, and the songs are so bland. And that's hyperbole, but it's fine. I just, maybe if I watch it a second time, if I get into a better mood or something, but I just didn't enjoy it as much as I was hoping for. It's probably because of Miguel's fucking face. Basically, I was just having such. It's not just the face though, but it's also like, I don't know, something about how just like how he carried himself, like the whole bit with like saying like, stop the sacrifices. There's just like something about that just felt like phony baloney.
I mean, he was a phony baloney.
It was a phony baloney, but I don't know, something about it just felt like odd to me. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's fine. Story isn't very good. The characters I appreciate more than I actually enjoyed. Like on paper, I like Miguel. On paper, on the screen, not so much. And I definitely didn't care for those CGI extras. Oh my god, I was losing my mind. It was getting worse and worse in that scene.
You're still saying Ants? This is better than Ants?
I am still saying this is better than Ants. Like Ants was Ants annoying as. No, that's an annoying as fuck movie. That one, it's just like insulting my intelligence.
Because I didn't mention erotic. What if Miguel? What if Tulio went up to Chell and was like, Hey, Cal, you're in my erotic fantasies.
What if the gods went up to all the villagers and said, "You all get a day off"?
I mean, Tzekel did say that.
You're right.
Tzekel
Wow,
did
this
say
movie's a ripoff of Ants. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
He's like, take the day off.
I can't believe Tzekel-Kan is a fascist. Oh my god.
I mean, Tzekel-Kan is kind of basically the villain with like it's felt almost like he's trying to make his own like whatever.
I can't believe Tzekel-Kan
My
died
point-
by
my
falling
point
on his
was-
face.
My point being that like it's like it's well enough. As a movie, this is like it would probably be like middle of the pack, like firm middle, because it's like fine. I didn't care much for it.
So a little weird. I liked Ants more than this, but I think I liked this more than Wash liked it.
You're correct.
Okay. I mean, when I saw it for the first time, I mean, obviously, never go based on your first impressions. But my first impressions were, as I said at the beginning of the podcast, gee, I wish these characters had a better story. And that hasn't changed one bit. This is, for the podcast, I can think of a couple of Pixar sequels that had worse stories. I could think of the Sonic OVA that had story was like, oh my god. And maybe like Me and My Dick maybe. But I mean, this is like down there as one of the worst stories that I've had to suffer through for the podcast. But I love this movie's sense of style. I love the way that the characters move. I love the way that the characters talk. I love the way that the characters' character, the few plot points that work, very few as they are, the very few ones that work, they legit work. Again, I really like when the priest pretty much tells Miguel, the chief tells Miguel that he knows they're not gods, but hey, you make people happy, you're good. Kind of an interesting dynamic there with religion versus, just living in the moment, like actually leading people, I really like the horse. I really like the dialogue. Very sharp writing, very, they really could have went all out in making this Warner Brothers, and I feel like I would have forgiven the story if this actually did just feel like a Warner Brothers cartoon. But because this has to feel, because Jeffrey Katzenberg, this has to feel like Disney, but not Disney, because we're better than them. And because of that, I think the movie suffers. I like it. I think it's pretty good. My least favorite of the movies that we've watched so far, but it should be my favorite. These characters seriously deserved a better story. If this story was, like, passable, I would like it more than Prince of Egypt. I super got into everything except for the most important part. However, who disagrees with me, in a broader sense, Random.
Okay, so will always have a soft spot for this movie. It's one of the first movies I remember watching on VHS repeatedly, and it's going to be a place in my heart. However, I am adding it to the definitely not as good as I remember it club in the podcast. Right up there with the Potter musicals and Toy Story 3.
Was there something that you watched a ton that you still enjoy?
Not. I never watched Ants. What? My mom would never let me watch erotic fantasy. No. I kind of agree with Claire. The story is very weak, and I wish someone wrote a better story with these characters, because the characters, I love how Miguel and Tulia work off each other like a comedic duo. I love the horse. I love Chell. I even like the villains and the chief. I think everything is good in this film. It's just that the story is very predictable and meh. And I feel like if it had a more time to stew in the oven and do something incredible with its writing, that we could get something as memorable as the Prince of Egypt. Okay, maybe not that memorable, but something decent and something really good in the story department. But yeah, I can't defend the story. Even when I was rewatching it, I was like, yeah, this isn't that. This story is kind of bad and predictable. I still think what is good about it is still makes it really fun. I still have a soft spot for at least a few of the songs. I love the character designs. I don't hate Miguel. I definitely don't hate Tulio, and I don't hate anybody. So this movie's always gonna have a soft spot with me. Is it better than I remember? Hell no. Is it as good as I remember? Also no. Do I still appreciate it? Yes. I kind of wish. I don't know where I read somewhere that this was supposed to be like they were gonna make a bunch of movies starring these two, but
I was curious about that because it definitely like the ending felt like they were angling for something more, but as far as I can tell, nothing really happened.
Yeah, nothing happened, but they might have planned it. And I could see a part of me wishes they brought back. I know we're not there yet, but for Spirit, they did a sequel for it years later. I kind of wish. I don't think it would be the same, but I kind of wish they would make another sequel to this and make a better story for it. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. But I just want.
The thing is, like I said, this bombed.
Yeah, it bombed, and it has a cult following, so it's possible, but not possible. Not going to happen. I want to like this film more. I really do, and I still have a place in my heart after Prince of Egypt. Because again, I saw this, but never saw Prince of Egypt. Now that seeing Prince of Egypt, it's not even close. Not even close.
We all want to like this movie. We all like really want to like it.
Really want to like it.
I really wanted to like this movie. Because it's like I can see like spiritually, like as a kid I would have loved this movie. Because it's it's so quippy, it's so snappy.
Yeah. And like I said before, I mean, this is probably just a me thing, just because Prince of Egypt is such a landmark movie and all, but if this movie story was like passable, I would have no qualm saying I like it more because of everything that works so well.
Absolutely. Because like as a kid, I didn't really care.
Yeah.
It was more like it was more like them being funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like I'm like I said, I'm pushing 30, and like I almost said this kind of sucks. It's like, I'm not that far,
I wouldn't.
but
The story.
It's fine.
Yeah, the story sucks, but I still think the movie overall is like a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
So if I were to rank things, my soft ranking would be Prince of Egypt on top, this in the middle, and then Ants on the bottom. And even though Ants was fun to watch, it's still the lowest one.
I same here. I definitely like I'm sure we're soon gonna get to stuff that can actually like beat Prince of Egypt, but like definitely like this is the middle bar for me.
Yeah, I guess we disagree already. Although I also like Dance more than the two of you, so I guess that makes sense.
Really? You think El Dorado's the worst?
Yeah, I said that before.
Oh, damn.
Which is weird because I don't dislike it the least. Very weird.
Well, that's a bit of a somber note. Goodbye, childhood. You weren't as great as I remember you.
Oof. Wow. Wow.
It's a rut. Anyway, I don't know why I feel like we should do something else, but that was the road to El Dorado.
And the road was paved with shit.
You needed irate gamer energy for that.
Yeah. I was like, you're turning into a grump.
I was wondering, like, am I just a grump? And like, I think I was just born in the wrong time.
Oh my god.
This came out in the 2000s. We were 6 years old when this came out.
Oh my god. Like I said, I feel sad because it was just like a missed opportunity.
Yeah,
Like
I agree. The next film we're going to be seeing is a bit unique.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Katzenberg. So there's while there's this whole thing with the Disney and DreamWorks and some other like animation studios. It's not like it's just these two. The animation in the 2000s was a lot more complex than that. But meanwhile, in British land, in Turf Island, There's
No. Oh no.
Meanwhile, over there, there is an animation studio that is really like winding up big because they've gotten huge off off many different series, including one with a certain cheese lover and his dog. And Jeffrey Katzenberg got in contact with them, and they decided they were gonna make a feature-length claymation film, and that is what we will be discussing. The Armin Animations. So this one is like it's technically not a DreamWorks animation picture. Like they help with like distribution, but I'm counting it because it's gonna pay off later for when we talk about Flushed Away.
And also, we want to talk about the Artman films. We don't want to talk about Prince of no, we don't want to talk about Joseph King of Dreams. Unless you guys really want us to.
I highly doubt it.
No.
So it's interesting. We're really, I mean, I said this with both Ants and Prince of Egypt, but 3 is the magic number and all. I don't know about you two, but I'm really starting to see what makes DreamWorks, Like, what makes a DreamWorks movie, especially compared to your Disneys, your Pixars, your Blue Skies, your Don Bluth's, whatever his animation studio is called.
Don Bluth Animation.
Yeah, you're right. But you're really starting to see what makes DreamWorks so unique compared to those two. It's really all coming together. It's going to be a little weird watching Chicken Run and probably having it feel super different, but who knows? Maybe DreamWorks' influence will be strong in that one too. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll find out. But and it's funny because things haven't really even changed yet.
Yeah. No, I mean, leading up to that, I mean, we'll talk about it when we get to that movie, but I mean, like, that movie happening was, the pieces were set.
And we'll get there soon. But until we get there, where people find us? Wash?
Well, you can find us on youtube.com/WRK podcast. Where and you can subscribe to us there and see us in video form. You can see it in audio form in wrk.simplecast.com and wherever else you may get your podcast. And if you want to know when the next episode comes out, depending on if Twitter is still alive by this point, because as of this recording, it's going through shit.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Again?
It always is.
Oh, tell me about it off stream. I want to know. I was too busy with the Nintendo Direct today.
But you can follow us on Twitter at WRK Podcast, and we'll let you know when the next episode comes out. With that, there was one joke that like it was like almost funny, but then I thought about it and I was just like, this doesn't make sense. Whereas like Tulio was just like, turns out El Dorado is native for Great Big Rock. And then I was like, Bandus isn't native. What are you talking about? They didn't call it El Dorado. But anyway, I'm El Wash. La Wash.
I'm not a fan of sacrifices.
I'm Claire.
There will be no
and we'll see you all next time.
There will be no sacrifices of chickens. Not now, not ever.
Yeah, and it's that one buff guy who keeps cheering.
Bye.
Bye.